Okay, we are finished with the ceiling in the bathroom now. As you can see, we've got the knotty pine look to it. And it's kind of what I was looking for. I'm looking for that knotty pine look on the ceiling. So guys, I'm glad that we got this done, and we're going to keep you up to date on the other ceilings as we get them done also. So this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. We're over here at the Candy Corn Cabin. And yes, it's off grid and it's dark in here. Even though it's daylight outside, it's dark in here. So we're having to use some lighting from a work light to try to get enough light for the camera to stay in focus. So guys, what I wanted to show you today is we're moving forward with the cabin. We're beginning to work on the ceiling. Now you'll hear in the background it's raining. That's one reason we're working inside today, is to get away from the rain. But we're working on the ceiling. Now we're using the 6-inch beveled, tongue and grooved edge siding to go on our ceilings, because that is really the look that we've been after. Now it's one of those things that it's been a long process. It's very difficult because the cabin is not that large. It's only 16 by 32. And because of the VOCs of varnish and different things, we can't just put the lumber up and then varnish it in here because it's just too strong. We end up wearing respirators and all that kind of stuff, and that's just too much for us. It's too much of a tiny place. We don't want to damage our health that way. So what we've done is we've bought a product. It's a water-based product called polyacrylic high gloss. It's a low VOC. Even though the vapors are harmful, we still do not take any chances. I cut all the lumber to length outside. Wanda and I go ahead and coat it, sand it, and clear coat it 3 times so that we got the gloss that we're looking for. And then we let it set, and then we bring it in and we install it once it's finished gassing off. Now, guys, this is really going to make a difference here in our cabin, we believe. Now we're doing the north wall first, because that's where this time of the year all of our cold weather comes from. And all we have up right now is just insulation. And we do feel some drafts, even though I've taped all the insulation seams, occasionally you'll find a place where the insulation butts up against the rafter or something. There's still some minor air passage through there, and it's allowing our cabin to not hold the heat like we would like. So we're doing the north wall first. The south wall is under a porch, and it's not really any air filtration coming around that. Unless the wind's coming out of the south blowing really hard, then we will get some kind of air filtration, but then the weather usually warms up. It's not cold weather coming from the south. The design that I designed the cabin made it where I didn't have a bunch of long running lumber, because when you buy siding today, the market is just not very good anymore. Most of the lumber you get has got bows in it or crooks or busted out places and things like that. So I designed it where our beams are exposed and they're 4 feet apart. And when they're 4 feet apart, that allows me with about a 44.5 to 44 3/4 inch spacing in between these beams. And it allows me to cut my lumber a lot shorter, so that way I can pick through my lumber and I can really come up with some nice looking pieces of wood out of it. So that's what we've done here. If you see this, you'll understand. And when the beams go up, you're going to notice there's some unfinished parts of the beams. That's because we are going to box that part in. Now the bottom part of the beams are full log beams. The top part will have to be boxed because we didn't want to spend the extra money at the time to go ahead and put these huge beams up there, and we didn't have a way to hold them because it's just Wanda and I. So we'd rather do the boxed in beams for that part. We started on this side right here. That's because we have a balcony wall up there, and we just went up to that balcony wall with a 4-foot piece, because from that point forward, the balcony is going to have long runs of lumber in it. That's the only place other than at the very top up here where we'll have long lumber. The rest of it, my walkboard's in the middle there, but the rest of it is just 4-foot pieces ran in between our exposed beams. Guys, we're really excited because this is going to give us a lot more light in here and make it brighter once we get completely through with it. Because the insulation is just kind of an old brown dull paper, and the lumber helps to seal off the cold air, plus it brightens it up and gives it that cabiny look on the inside. Okay, this is what the other side of the cabin looks like. You can see it's just, right now it's just insulation. And there's a vast difference between that side of the cabin and the other side of the cabin. Now the center run will be long pieces of lumber down the middle here. The beams will not go all the way across at the top. It'll look like they just run up into the ceiling up there and stop. And our beams will be painted the same color as the trim on the outside of the house. We went ahead and painted the ends next to where the lumber is at on the ceilings, so that we don't have to worry about getting any paint on the ceiling. And that's, you'll notice every beam we have up here has the ends painted on them, so that we don't have to worry about getting any paint on our new lumber that we've just put up. And one of the things we were talking about the false beams that we're going to be adding, if you can see where my shadow is, right there where my shadow is, we'll be putting false beams there because that's just framed out lumber ready to have the false beams nailed to. All of that will be painted outside and then installed once it's painted, so we don't have to worry about getting any paint on our lumber, plus keeping the VOCs out of the cabin. Okay, one other thing I want to mention here is what you see behind me right here. This is not sheetrock. I do not want a piece of sheetrock in my cabin anywhere. This is actually Luan plywood that we've been put on the walls and filled all the nail holes and the seams and stuff like that. We're going to be installing our cabinets the old-fashioned way. We're not going to be building boxes and screwing them to the wall like the modern cabinets are. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way with the strips of lumber and the boards in it, and then we're going to face it out with our doors and stuff on it. So we wanted 1/2-inch plywood on the walls. For structure reasons, it makes it stronger, and we just like the rigidity of plywood. We don't have to worry about anything molding or anything like that. So we went with the plywood, we painted it and caulked it and everything. And plus, we chose a color called Toasty, which is kind of a real warm light color to go with the ceiling up here, so that we don't have anything too drastic. We want our beams to stand out, but we don't want our walls to stand out like this in the kitchen, because to be honest with you, most of it will be covered up by cabinets, but we still wanted that look in the back side of our cabinets once we got them installed. Okay, one of our plans up here is, you see this here? This is wainscoting. We turn this lumber that we put up right here, if you flip it around, it has the beadboard on the back side of it. So we decided in the loft for the wall part to use the beadboard. So we've done that on the north wall to go ahead and try to get some of that north wind blocked out of here.
This is our last piece, baby. It's there. That's it.
All right, screwdriver gonna come my way. Thank you. If you stay with us, I think you'll find out that even though you live off grid in the 21st century, you can still live comfortable. So thank you guys from Deep South Homestead.